I think that the Central game, maybe the importance, for our schedule wasn't, at its highest, but, for us personally, I think it definitely was the most important. I mean, we've been having a rivalry with Central since we've been playing basketball. So it's always fun when we play them and when we pack our gym and they pack their gym. So we felt that was our most important game.
You have extra drive for that game to beat Hinsdale always. I feel like there's always more intensity around. So going into that game, we were super hyped, especially because we beat them at their place. We wanted to complete the sweep for the season.
It's a different environment, different atmosphere. It's awesome because it's your rivals growing up, starting as a freshman, you don't like Hinsdale.
There's a different type of energy in it than when we had played at the beginning of the season.
Towards the end of the season, that latter half, every game's real important. And especially when you play a team like Hinsdale, they're good. And being a team twice in a row, it's not easy, especially beating them there and then coming and playing them at home. They're going to be fired up and ready to go. So it was definitely important, obviously for the rivalry and everything, but also for the season in general.
Our gym was always packed, and there's a different type of energy in it than when we had played at the beginning of the season. The student section was full.
People there, everyone's just on your side, wanting them to take down the Devils.
When Hinsdale comes here, there's a little bit more of a rivalry, obviously a rivalry spirit. So you want to win the Hinsdale game at home just a little bit more than any other game. So I think when we brought that energy, they obviously matched it. It was a chippy game. There was a little bit of a fight.
Hinsdale Central was very good last year, and they were improving as the season went along, and we were going to have to play well to give ourselves a chance to win. We could have played well against Hinsdale Central and not won. It was a game of kind of back and forth, each team making runs along the way, and specifically in that game, Ben Osterbahn, he was really, really tough to handle.
Both teams kind of slowed it down. We got a lot more good shots compared to just a shot, because at that point we were closer together, we were gelled, and we kind of figured out our offense. I think they also slowed it down that game, and they got Oosterbaan the ball a lot and kind of let him go at Nick a little bit.
Going into halftime, Coach told us, don't let up. This is a team that can come back. This is a team that can win this game. Keep the same energy. The crowd there was nuts, so that helped as well.
Oosterbaan had a really good game against us. We didn't really have much of an answer for him. I think he scored 20 plus.
Late in the game, we made an adjustment, and Nick Polanowski was guarding him and continued to guard him, but Coach Johnson said, hey, why don't we just have Nick deny him the ball wherever he goes? So Nick started to do that, and it made him probably get the ball a little bit further away from the basket than he wanted to, which made a couple of his attempts a little more difficult. That was one of the big things, was that we were able to take some of his opportunities away. You're playing against your next door neighbor in the backyard, and neither one wants to lose. A lot of times it's not going to be pretty, but the kids showed a lot of toughness as a group and found a way to win a tough game in front of a big crowd at an important time of the year. You take maybe not pretty victories a lot more easily than you take good-looking losses. So they found a way to get it done, and it was a really big win for the guys.
I'd say the biggest factor was we came out with 4,000 people in the stands and realized, oh my gosh, no, I've never been in a scenario like that. I guarantee none of the other kids have because of COVID last year. So it was just super surreal, and I think we tended to focus on that a little more than the actual game that was being played.
From the tip, you could kind of see that everyone was amped up. The adrenaline was pumping. Even us on the bench, we were on a different planet. You could obviously tell that there was a whole nother atmosphere. But I think games leading up to the blackout game, I feel like they all kind of prepared us for that level of energy, and I think we actually thrive off of that kind of atmosphere.
Being on the sideline, it was like you're a kid at a game again. Like it felt great to be there experiencing that and actually being able to wear that jersey.
Putting on that jersey, going out there in front of thousands of people in that environment, the environment's crazy. People talk about it. I think there's a bunch of teams that are in line to play us in the blackout game because of what it brings to the kids, and playing in that environment is like playing in a college environment. It's awesome. DGS didn't want to look at their record because they didn't have the best season already. We went into the game more. I don't think we were super focused on winning the game, more as thinking of the thought of the blackout game. I think all the people there definitely got to us at first.
When I was coming out, getting my name announced, I think it was probably the coolest thing that I've experienced. The whole far side was filled with students, and then in the game, I lost my voice in like the first quarter because I had to scream so loud. It was so loud just to be able to hear my teammate next to me, calling out stuff, and even hearing Coach Sloan from the other side of the court was pretty hard to hear. It was just super fun.
I think there was just a little bit of an underestimation of how good Downers South was. I think their record was pretty weak, to be honest. I think they only had like 5 or so wins on the year. So I think our mentality going into the game was, there's going to be a lot of people there. We're going to show out and kill them. That wasn't the case because they came out and they gave us their best game probably all year. They were hitting shots, and ours weren't really falling. So it was good to get that test, especially before the playoffs. You don't want to come in and take any games softly.
So I'd say probably it was a quarter in. We were like, all right, calm down. There's all these people here. They're not going to leave. We got to play this game. And I think throughout the game, we may have cut it close. We may have been down. But I think throughout the whole game, we kind of knew we were going to be all right.
At least as coaches, we did not expect to just walk into that game and win. It was going to be a tough game. They had skilled players, they had size, so it was going to be a tough game. They came out and they embraced the moment. When we play those types of games, the opponent usually goes one of two ways. They either are really excited to play in that environment and play well, or the environment is kind of overwhelming and they struggle. And Downers, they loved every minute of it. There was a little bit of a struggle early, at least offensively, like to get a rhythm going, and maybe guys were trying to do too much. I don't think we were unfocused. I think it just took a while to kind of get settled in. And it was, a game against a good team in a great environment that eventually got settled in and then got comfortable and were able to, kind of stretch it out in the second half.
We tried throughout the season during halftime, no matter what the score was, to just, learn from the first half instead of just getting mad at what we did or frustrated. So we tried to progress a little bit and make adjustments, and I think we made some really good adjustments at halftime, and we kind of took the game away for ourselves there. We definitely knew it was too close. We knew it shouldn't have been that close because they definitely weren't as talented of a team as us. So we made our adjustments and took it to them in the second half.
Some of the people in the stands were worried, but if you ask any of the players, the whole time I thought, all right, we can kick on the Jets anytime we want. I think we're good. And that's what we did near the end, kind of brought it towards what we wanted to do, and we finished good. So I think the nerves leading up to the game were definitely significant. But like I said, when the ball goes up for the tip ball, all the nerves go away.
They're ranked like all season top 10. I think they were ranked in the top 5. And they're just known as that school that's just got a good basketball team every year. City school, so it's a little bit of a different game, especially playing at Proviso West. Gym gets loud. So there's a lot of energy, a lot of expectations. You know, it's win or go home. They had a really young team. They only had one senior that really played, so they didn't really have as much experience as us. But you know, they came out fast and strong, and it was just a battle the entire way. I think it was just close, within 5 points the entire game. They really didn't have much of an answer for Tavari that game. He kind of took over, but as a team, I think we were just the better team, even though, you know, they have a lot of talented guys, a lot of guys that could probably go D1. Our mindset was, we're the better team and we're going to beat them tonight, and that's what we did.
Basically, going into that game, we hadn't played like a really good game yet, and Curry was 4th in the state. Nobody was really expecting us to win, but I think going into the game, it's a respect aspect between the juniors and the seniors. The seniors realize if they lose, this is their last game of high school basketball ever. So I'd say everybody was going super hard, like guys like Sully, Will, Tavari, Billy, Elliott, like all those, Cullen, all those seniors. I hadn't seen something like that in them for a while.
He kind of took it that different breed of basketball between the suburbs and the city. We kind of got a first-hand experience with that with Curry.
Pretty much the entire season, except for against Glenbard, we were like the favorite, I guess, to win. And then going into Curie, I guess we were the underdog. So we didn't really have much of experience being the underdog, but we just felt like we were the better team.
We knew that they were all guards coming into the game. They didn't really have a large big man, but they were still really strong. So we knew that we played good against those types of teams. And then coming into the game, we know we just had to be ourselves. Wasn't really that high score of a game.
I think the biggest challenge that we faced in that game was preventing Curie from driving to the basket, preventing them from getting out in transition, and somehow finding a way to keep their guys off the offensive glass. The team that they had last year had 2 or 3 guys that went after offensive rebounds harder than anybody we played all year, really. And that was probably one of the biggest challenges that we had. And the deciding factor in that game was we found a way to get 1 or 2 key defensive rebounds in the last couple of minutes that prevented them from getting a putback basket that would have given them a lead or a game-winning basket. And it was similar to what I've said about some of the other games. The X's and O's are important in those kind of games. The skills are important, but really it was toughness that was the deciding factor in that game.
But I think going into that 4th quarter, and it still being a close game, we knew we had to keep playing, and this wasn't going to be an easy game to win.
And it was everybody on the floor had to make tough plays. Will Carroll had several big baskets in that game where found the basketball, guys found him around the basket, and he scored.
You get into overtime and you get 5 minutes. That's it. You know there's 5 minutes. In a regular game, you're like, all right, we can have overtime after this. But overtime, you're like, all right, we're here. Like, this is it. So I think both teams got a little eager to get out to a quick lead, and it didn't happen. So Coach Sloan called a timeout. I think he had us breathe. He's like, all right, guys, for us to play our best basketball, we play slower. We get the best shot we can. You know, there's no shot clock in Illinois, so there's no point in rushing stuff. We'll let Curry keep rushing stuff, but we do our thing, and that's how we'll get the best buckets we can. And essentially, that's what happened. We, the crowd there, the thought of it definitely sped us all up. But you have to cope with it, and essentially that's what happened.
I think it was just an energy thing at the end of that game. They were mostly playing juniors, and we were mostly had senior guys out there. So I think we were kind of playing like, well, this might be our last time together. We need to go all out, leave it all on the court, and that's defensively we were just dogs on defense, trying to get steals, trying to get the ball back. They were trying to hold the ball for like really long periods of time at the end just to kill the clock. So we were just scrambling around, just playing our hearts out on defense because it's win or go home at that point. So we were playing all out, leaving it all out on the court, and I think our energy just took it over for us.
Sully gets a rebound. Sully gets a rebound off of a missed shot from Curry. Passes it to me going up the floor. I am actually looking to score, but I see Will out of the corner of my right eye, and I dish it to him in the corner. And right when I pass it to Will, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So Will hits that, place goes crazy, but there's still 8-10 seconds on the board. So I'm screaming to guys, yo guys, we gotta get back, like D up. I D up a guy from the front. he dishes it to the left. Guy puts up a shot fake, gets Tavari in the air, and shoots one. Rims out. Thankfully, we get a touchy rebound, and the game ends, and everybody goes crazy. I think that's when it hit, was when that buzzer sounded. It was super surreal. To be in a game like that, we tried not to focus on the Whitney Young game that night. We tried to focus on what we just accomplished there, and it was super awesome.